Welcome back to Portimao. Moto2 continues then in the FIM CEV Repsol. What a glorious afternoon. The sun is beating down. It all started a little bit overcast here at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve, but great layout, 4.5 kilometers, just under 3 miles. And the sun, as I say, is now beating down on the south of Portugal, around 300 kilometers south of the capital city, Lisbon, and of Estoril, which used to host the World Championship rounds. If you are joining us for the very first time on YouTube this afternoon, welcome. Or perhaps highlights later on BT Sport. There's a lot to get through as well. I'm not quite sure how they're going to put together a highlights package if you're watching this back, because we've had so much drama already. We've had a Moto2 race earlier on, then the Superbikes, Moto3, and 2 races to go in terms of the regular CEV schedule. 1 Moto2 race now, that'll conclude our coverage. We'll have 1 more Superbike race later in the afternoon, and then a couple of national Portuguese championship races as well for their Moto Junior and Superstock 600 events. In the meantime then, this is Moto2 once again. Now then, what about the championship fight? It certainly looks as though it's going to go down to Valencia, because Jesco Raffin, it was a bit of a struggle early on, came home in 4th place, did the Swiss, and he's absolutely remarkable. He's had a fantastic season, but they're pushing him all the way, and they're going to take this fight down to that final round in Valencia in 2 weeks' time. It will be between Jesco Raffin from Switzerland and Florian Alt, who won that first race of the day here in Portimao. Making their way out onto the grid. Then just looking out of the commentary box window. Fantastic view actually for us here. One of the best commentary boxes of the season, I have to say, for me. Having travelled all the World Championship with MotoGP, brilliant facilities here. It's my first trip to Portimao. This circuit constructed back in 2008. So much care has gone into the whole project. You can just tell with the grandstand and the facilities, the way everything's laid out in terms of the press room and the media centre. There's even a little pool as well down in the paddock here, which is quite unique. You don't find that at most tracks. I'm sure if we had a few title deciding moments here in various series over the last 6 years or so, a few people would have ended up in that pool. But in the meantime, you're not going to have a title deciding situation here in Moto2 because of Raffin finishing 4th in that first race. And unlike Jesco Raffin, but he's actually struggled here in qualifying. And don't forget, it's 2 qualifying sessions in the FIM CEV Repsol. Here he is. This is the Swiss rider, that very distinctive red crash helmet design through that very long turn 15 at the end of the lap. But the 2 qualifying sessions, and from those 2 sessions they combine the times. They don't add the times together, it's not an aggregate time situation, but they just take the best individual time of each rider, whether it be from across qualifying 1 or qualifying 2, and that determines the grid. And because we have 2 races here, 2 encounters for Moto2 this weekend, it's the same starting order as the first race earlier on this morning at 11 o'clock. We're just now coming up to 3 p.m. local time here, 2 p.m. local time here in Portugal. 97 will make his way towards the front of the field again. Keep a close eye on the numbers. Some of these riders may be new to you. This is Javi Vierge. Very first pole position then for him in the CEV. Obviously now it becomes 2, doesn't it, because of that situation with a double header here for Moto2 this weekend. What would he do this time? He's a regular front runner this season. Let's not forget that. He's always up there. Starting again on that pole position alongside Axel Pons. Then it's Florian Alt, winner of the first race earlier this morning. Here's the situation looking down. So once again, it's exactly the same race distance for Moto2. It's a 17-lap distance. Watch out as well for the likes of Alan Tesha, because he got into major trouble, didn't he, at that 3rd corner, into the Lagos corner last time. And Tesha was caught out, started 4th on the grid, so best of the rest off that front row. He was caught out down at that 2nd corner and actually took Federico Foglini with him. Very, very unfortunate incident there earlier on today. Sizable crowd as well. As I was saying earlier on, the grandstand here is absolutely enormous. It casts a huge shadow across the start-finish straight and some of the pit lane as well, as the sun makes its way around now towards the back of that main grandstand. As I say, it's coming up to 2 o'clock in the afternoon here. But it really does dwarf the size of the crowd, because the grandstand's so big, it makes the crowd look a lot smaller than it really is. There's Vieja, then look across that front row of the grid. You'll have Edgar Pons lining up 2nd. That's the younger brother of Axel Pons, who's racing in the World Championship. 2 of the 3 sons of Cito Pons, twice a 250cc World Champion in his day. Then it's Florian Alt, 3rd on the grid. And all the encouragement after such a strong result this morning. And things are tightening up in this championship. It will be Alt versus Jesco Raffin. Bit of a difficult situation, you have to say, for Raffin. He fought up to 4th place earlier on from that 8th spot on the grid, but he can't afford to lose more points. But you certainly get the feeling, and Alt will know this only too well, if Alt can win again, or at least bag some strong points for perhaps 20 points for second, maybe 16 for third. With Raffin behind, they're taking chunks out of him all the time. Raffin's really struggled out of the blocks actually here. First time we've come to Portimao in Portugal. And he was a good 1.2 seconds off the pace. That pole position time set by Vierge in qualifying yesterday. Let's get down there then. Tony Calvo is with your pole sitter.
Xavi Vierge, intensa lucha en la primera carrera donde has finalizado segundo. ¿Qué planteamiento tienes para esta segunda manga?
Bueno, intentar hacer la misma carrera que en la primera. Salir, tirar, sin cometer fallos y las últimas vueltas intentar acabar lo más arriba posible.
Gracias, suerte.
Yeah, just intended to do the same thing as this morning, quite frankly. He was second this morning to Florian Alt. What can he do? Remember, coming into the weekend, it was tight, and it still is tight in the championship. We know Raffin was pulling away, but Vierge was up there. Certainly was 65 points behind coming into the day. We'll get your updates on the championship situation as the race progresses. We'll have the graphic appearing on the right-hand side. But it is nice to know, though, now that this is going down to Valencia. 50 points then left up for grabs now across this second Portimao race, and then Valencia in 2 weeks' time. Back down to Tony in the meantime then. This is Edgar Pons, and he starts second.
Estamos con Sito Pons. Sito, gran rendimiento el de Edgar en la primera carrera, en la que ha acabado en el podium, pero por contra, Chesco no ha podido estar con el grupo de cabeza. ¿Qué problema tenía?
Bueno, esta pista no la he acabado de asimilar bien, es una pista muy complicada, muy técnica, muy difícil, con muchos baches, muchos desniveles, subidas y bajadas, y la moto está todo el rato moviéndose, ya se ha visto en la primera carrera, y no acaba de sentirse a gusto del todo, ¿no? Entonces yo creo que, bueno, vamos a ver si hemos cambiado alguna cosa ahora para esta segunda carrera, a ver si la siente un poco mejor la moto y puede pues, estar con el grupo de cabeza, vamos a ver.
Gracias, Sito, y suerte para tus pilotos.
Gracias.
Thanks, Tony. Obviously just updating there with Sito Pons, twice a 250cc world champion in his fantastic Grand Prix career. And it's the two riders they're talking about. Edgar Pons in the middle of the front row, but really all of the attention is on the championship leader, and quite rightly, quite frankly, because he's starting 8th again. Jesko Raffin. This is third on the grid then. Florian Alt. This could be a good day for the German.
Florian Al, you target in race one, it was to win, and you won. Will you try to repeat the strategy?
Of course, I try to catch up the victory again, and we will see how the race will go, but I will fight. I want to fight for the victory.
Thanks, and good luck.
What can he do? There's real tension in there actually here now, because Jesko Raffin, everyone was getting the impression he was pulling away. Certainly speaking to some people in the media centre this morning, they were saying, oh, he probably won't wrap it up in the first race, but certainly in the second. Well, to be honest, it's not going to happen now. Florian Alt is really putting the pressure on. In the meantime, is Alan Tesh. And I remember Alan started on pole position last time out at the start of September when the CEV was last race, and that was in Navarra. Made a critical error, though, and jumped the start in that second race. Was called in for a ride-through penalty. That caught out Edgar Pons as well, because he started in the middle of the second row on that occasion. He reacted to Tesh's jump start. He jumped it too. And then it was Alt in the lead, but he was pipped by Raffin into that final corner. No such problems, though, here this morning, with Alt winning that first encounter, that first heat, as Tony described it as, down on the grid. And Raffin did fight back to fourth place, and that was a little bit lucky, you have to say, in some ways, that he was fourth, because he would have been fifth. But Stephen Odendaal, and here he is, right on cue, number 44, the South African, was running up there in the lead of the race. He made a mistake early on in the race, dropped back, fought back through brilliantly to take the lead, but then a very rare and scary incident as well, when the suspension completely collapsed on the back of the speed up. He was coming through a really high-speed section as well, out of turn 14, towards 15 at the end of the lap here. And Odendaal was forced to pull off the track. Thankfully, somehow he kept the bike upright, didn't actually crash, but a big loss of a potential 25 championship points for Stephen Odendaal, who comes into this one 7th in the championship. This, in the meantime, the completion then of that second row. This is Federico Fuglini, the Italian. He's on a Suter. It's a real mix of bikes up there. You've got a Tech 3 bike on pole from a Calex, another Calex on third position, then a Tech 3 again, Speed Up and Suter. So 3 different manufacturers, 3 different makes of bike completing that second row, and filling, I should say, that second row of the grid. So watch out for him. He was caught up in drama this morning. He was into turn 3. It was a mistake from Tesha. He went down first and took Fuglini with him. So they certainly don't want a repeat of that. Heading up the third row, here he is, number 10. This is Vitali Don't forget as well, everybody on Michelin tyres, and that really is the big difference in the CEV as opposed to the World Championship. It's Dunlop tyres for Moto2 and Moto3 for that matter in the World Championship, but it's Michelin providing the Moto2 runners here in the CEV. And there's Jesco Raffin, and do I get mistaken or do I get the impression that he's looking a little bit nervous? We know he's good at keeping his head, but he's got to bear in mind the championship situation. He's down in 8th on the grid. Alt won the first race, starting on the front row. How is this going to shape us as we get to Valencia? So, Vierge starts from pole position for the second time in his career now, courtesy of that qualifying performance yesterday. Edgar Pons is up there from Alt. Then it's Tescher, Odendaal, Fuglini completing the second row from Vitali, his fellow Italian. Then you've got Jesco Raffin, and don't forget Dakota Momola, son of 4-time 500cc World Championship runner-up and multiple Grand Prix winner Randy. Dakota will start 9th. He's looking to follow up a great performance from his good friend Remy Gardner, who's just finished right up there towards the front of the field without giving too much away in the Moto3 race. You notice there's another Pons, that's Mikel Pons, who starts on row 6. No relation to the Cito Pons family. Tony Finsterbush, several World Championship starts for him over the last few years. He completes that top 20, and watch out as well for Thibaut, because he is the leading Superstock 600 rider. Don't forget this race is split up into 2 categories. Very much as are the Superbikes. You've got the Superbike class and then the Superbike Privateers class. Well, here in Moto2, you've got Moto2 and then the Superstock 600 riders, and they're in a race of their own, or battle of their own, I should say, but in the same race. They're fighting for their own points lead, and that's an interesting one as well, with the way things are shaping up there in the Superstock 600 ranks. We'll keep updating you on that, obviously, as the race progresses, and you'll notice they drop a long way back, and you can differentiate the bikes because the Moto2 runners with their bright yellow numbers, but they're even brighter for the Superstock 600 riders. There's an example of the Moto2 number then, the 97 on the front of your pole switch. It's Xavi Vierge. Didn't make a great start though when he started from pole this morning. It was a big wheelie off the line. It was a bit of a disastrous start actually under the circumstances. He was lucky to hold 4th on that first lap, but it was his teammate Alan Tescher who had problems as they got to turn 3, the Lagos corner, for the first time. Away we go then on the warm-up lap. 4.5 kilometre lap here of Portimao, just under 3 miles. Down into the right-hand turn. When you can see there's different loops, there's so many different configurations of circuit they can take here. The cars go around the inside of that first corner. Bikes, obviously, as you can see, around the outside. This is turns 3 in the background, 4 in the foreground. Raffin then with that 20-point lead over Florian Alt. Pons is 50 points behind, so that confirms Pons can match Raffin in terms of points, but he still wouldn't win because Raffin would be on more victories. So it's now between Raffin and Florian Alt. 20 points between them with a maximum 50 points still up for grabs. It's 25 per win. Then it's Vierge, and he obviously certainly can overhaul Pons. He's just 8 points behind, starting from pole position, and is 4th in the championship. So if you've seen the Portimao circuit for the first time, it's around the left-hand of 6, then they're into the double right-handers of 7 and 8. It's spectacular. It's been compared to the likes of the Nürburgring. It's obviously a lot shorter than the Nordschleife, but the Nürburgring, Alton Park, a lot of comparisons with Brands Hatch. This is similar, isn't it, here to Pilgrim's Drop at Brands Hatch, and you drop it down towards Hawthorns and Westfield, and the Sheen curve there. In this particular case, it's over the brow of the hill from turn 8, round the left-hander at the Craig Jones corner, turn 9, back up the hill to 10, Portimao, the right-hander, then 11, down the dip here into the left-hander of turn 12. This is the 4th and final sector. It's turn 13, and a couple of right-handers to complete the lap. 14, and the very, very long right-hander at turn 15, which completes this 4.5 lap then of the Algarve International Circuit here in Portimao. Real tourism area. I remember coming on holiday here myself actually in the late 1990s. This circuit certainly wasn't anywhere near, it wasn't even thought of back then. Put together in 2008 by a private consortium, and so much care has gone into it, and very much like Mugello and Brands Hatch and Cadwell Park and all sorts of places like that, they've built it on the land. They haven't modified the land as such, just a few little modifications, but generally this ribbon of tarmac, 4.5 kilometres of it, follows the natural contours of the lines, and those always are the best ones, aren't they? So they'll line up, same order, don't forget, as this morning's race. Vierge on pole position for the second time in his FIM CEV Repsol career here in Moto2. Then it's Edgar Pons, middle of that front row. Florian Alt 3rd, completing the front row. As always, they do not need to retain grid order down towards the starting grid on the warm-up lap. Don't forget the Superstock 600 runners as well. They're battling themselves, and That'll be another battle going on further back in the field with Bertin Thibault leading the way there. And he's on the verge of claiming that individual title here, having led the way and was right up there as well, inside the top 12 in the first race overall this morning. By for more driving, then Vierge on pole. Can he get it away better this time? Pons and then Alt, who won the first race. Away we go. Great stuff for Pons. Absolutely electric, shooting off the line down towards that first corner. Edgar Pons has the advantage. Odendahl's trying to make up for the disappointment of this morning's race, and he ducks into third place just behind Florian Alt, who won the earlier round this morning. Great stuff then as they stream their way round towards the Lagos corner for the first time. Pons leads. Alt is there in second place. Then it's Odendahl, and we'll catch a glimpse of Raffin. There he is. He's cleanly in there in what looks like 6th or 7th place as they tip it left. There he is. In fact, he's lost some ground as they go left for turn 4 for the first time. That is not the best of starts for Jesko Raffin, the championship leader, who's only 20 points ahead now of Florian Alt on this first lap. There he is in the middle of the picture, just tipping it in to turn 5. He's got to keep himself out of trouble. No major dramas so far, unlike the first race this morning when Tesha crashed out at turn 3. Look at the lead Pons has pulled out already. That's stunning stuff then for the second son of Sito. And now he's going to lead his way out over the brow of the hill, out of turn 8, down towards 9 for the first time. Into the second half of the lap. Odendahl second, spectacular as ever. And there's Raffin. Raffin's been absolutely swamped on the white bike with the red helmet. Look for him as they come round to end the lap. But Jesko Raffin, this is not good news for the championship leader. And I tell you what, as things stand, Florian Alt is going to be right up with him in the championship when we get to Valencia in 2 weeks' time. It's a rejuvenated Florian Alt then. We're just a fortnight from the end of the season now then. This is the sort of drama we didn't get this morning because Tesha departed the race early on, but he's now right up there and attacking for that third place into turns 14 and then 15 for the first time. Brilliant stuff from Pons. It was perfectly judged off the line. Just found the sweet spot, didn't he, between the throttle and the clutch. Leads this race. Odendahl's going with him though. The South African, major suspension problem this morning, took him out of the lead of the race, but he's definitely right up with Pons. Over the line they all come to complete the first lap of 17. Pons, Odendahl, Alt, Vierge from pole is 4th again. Medina's made a superb start. Medina is up into that 5th place. And what a disaster for Raffin, who's dropped down into 9th place. There is Jesko Raffin. This is bad news for the championship leader from Switzerland. He's got to close in, especially on Florian Alt, who at the moment is up there in that 3rd position and on target for a very strong 16 championship points. What can Raffin do then as he starts this second lap? Only 9th in the race. There he is. And that's the man we need to keep all of our attention on across the next 16 laps. There's Pons leading the way back down into turn 5. Odendahl is still second. Then it's Alt. And this is tight stuff. It's bunching up dramatically in the midfield. Superstock 600, I said I'd keep you updated, but it's Thibault still leading the way, and he's in 16th overall in the race. So certainly the Frenchman Thibault is looking very strong now for the Superstock 600 honours in 2014. Now then, what can Odendahl do this time? He's right in behind Edgar Pons. This is round through the Craig Jones corner, up into the Portimao bend. And this is what we need to keep an eye on. Oh, big moment there for Odendahl. He's actually running wide. That was another big moment for Odendahl, exactly where he made the mistake this morning. But look on the right-hand side of your screen, that championship lead for Raffin would decrease from 20 points down to 11 points if it stays like this. Bear in mind it was 32 points coming into the race meeting here in Portimao, so Raffin's got to punch up, and that could change. It's a moving goalpost because Florian Alt, there he is, 3rd place. He's right there as well. Vierge is right behind him. Alan Tesha's running there in that 8th position further back. At least he's managed to survive the first lap this time. And where is Jesko Raffin? This is Tesha in the meantime. He's battling away with the likes of Fugliini and Vitali, all battling over 6th, 7th and 8th positions. Over the start-finish line we go again. 2 down, still another 15 circulations of this Portimao track to go. Pons is leading. Odendahl now coming under pressure from Florian Alt, and this is looking very good indeed for the German. Won the first race today, and Florian Alt now goes second, and this is getting pretty exciting in terms of the Moto2 standings this year because he's going to close in even more. That is remarkable, and do they know it down at Pons with their man Raffin still down there at the moment in 9th place. That is another 4 World Championship points at this stage for Florian Alt. It would now be 7 points if it stays like this, and it could be even more because he's going to try and close in on Edgar Pons. So for the record, if Raffin finishes the race where he is at the moment in 9th position and Alt wins it, it's going to come down to just, 3 points as they get to the final race in Valencia. That would be an absolute showdown in 2 weeks' time. Meantime, there's Xavi Vierge, the Spaniard, started on pole position both races today. Now he's putting the hammer down, fastest lap of the race. On that second tour, that was obviously the first of the flying laps, having started off the grid on the first one. We're on to lap 3 now. Still 14 and a half circulations to go, and Stephen Odendaal piling the pressure on. We know Odendaal has plenty of World Championship experience. Underneath him does the South African, 24 Moto2 World Championship starts over the last few years. And there's Jesko Raffin, certainly no World Championship experience yet for him, but we know he's heading off to Moto2 next year. That's something we do need to bear in mind, of course. Jesko Raffin will be heading off to the World Championship anyway next year, whether he wins this title or not. But for that matter, so will Florian Alt. So they're both very keen to go up there as the CEV Moto2 champion. Florian Alt, who is second in this championship at the moment and third in the race. He'll be up there, the only suitor actually that's confirmed in the Moto2 World Championship field at this point next year. And that will be ridden by Florian Alt on a welcome return to the World Championship. There's Raffin. He's not really making any inroads at the moment, is he? Come on, Jesko, they say, and quite rightly, but he's down in 9th place. He's behind Fugliini. Not half a second between them as they started the lap, and they're battling up in front of him. That's Vitali and Fugliini going head to head. It's exactly what Jesko Raffin needs. He was 4th in the first race, and you have to say he was 4th because there were some problems in front of him. We saw a few riders dropping out of contention. We had Odendaal's problem, we had Tesha who took out Fugliini at turn 3. That was 3 positions already, and that explains why he finished 4th from 7th on the grid. Now look at Edgar Pons, he's struggling to get it slowed down into the left-hander at turn 5, and this is soon to be a ding-dong 4-way scrap here for the lead in Moto2 here at Portimao. Pons is in the lead. Then it's Florian Alt, who's pushing very hard indeed for the championship. Never mind the race, but also the championship. Odendaal 3rd. And then, as you can see on that graphic, Vierge is 4th, with Alain Tesha completing the top 5, but a good 1.5 seconds behind. That is a spectacular part of the track. If you ever get a chance to visit and attend any race meeting, whether it's cars, but particularly bikes here at Portimao, with the front wheels lifting over the brow out of turn 8 towards 9, try and do so, because it's a spectacular place to watch. What's this? Down. That's a faller in the middle of the pack. That's Fugliini. That's good news then for Jesko Raffin, who will pick up some more World Championship points, and somebody else running very wide as well. That's a very dangerous situation when you've got a rider stranded even in the runoff area. Alt, Odendaal, Vierge. This is a battle going on for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And Edgar Pons is just being let off the hook, isn't he, at this point? He was just under 1 second ahead as they started this lap. Still a long, long way to go though in this race, and look at the pressure. Look at the strain through the front wheel. It tries to get away from you. It's such a long corner there at turn 15. The bike's cranked over for a very, very long time indeed. And little runoff as well. Sito watching on. Oh, I don't know whether he knows whether to laugh or cry, because his son may be leading, but Raffin is stuck back there at the moment in 8th place. At least he's been gifted one from Fugliini. Incidentally, that's his 2nd incident of the day, so not a great day for the Italian. Medina has made a superb start, as I mentioned earlier on, to fight up from a lot further down the grid to be up there in 6th position at the moment. Started 11th, did Medina. That's the number 55 riding the Ariane bike, Team Stratos. And watch out then for Alejandro Medina. Now then, this is going to get very, very interesting very, very soon, because Odendaal is now the fastest rider on the track. He's closing in on Alt, who in turn is closing in on Edgar Pons. This is going to be a quartet battling for the lead. The lead came down by 0.3 of a second on that last lap, down to 0.6 now, and it's Pons from Alt. Odendaal still sat there in 3rd place, hoping for no more technical problems, the like of which we saw this morning. Then it's Vierge in that 4th place. The Jones corner. Again, we saw this with Alt this morning, didn't we? Up into turns 10 and 11. Such a different line he's taking that time. Look what this would do for the championship. Only 8 points between Raffin and Alt. You know, Raffin's gained a spot because of some of the attrition in front of him, but Jesko Raffin certainly off colour this weekend, and that's an understatement. He's 5.2 seconds behind the leader and in 8th position. Now then, Stephen Odendaal do this time. They are certainly catching Edgar Pons, so that's a relief. At least he hasn't broken away from the pack. What's going to happen in terms of tyre drop-off as well, because we saw some dramatic tyre drop-off only seven laps in this morning. Conditions have obviously changed now. The sun's beating down. Track temperature and ambient, for that matter, have gone up. But certainly the winner, Florian Alt, tyres were dropping off after 7 laps, and now coming through to start that all-important 7th lap, and Alt is under major pressure from Stephen Odendaal. Not the end of the world, though, for Alt, because Odendaal may well proceed to catch Pons at the front of the race. Great stuff, though. The South African goes 2nd on the 6th of the 17 laps here, and they pour their way into turn 3 again. It's Pons from Odendaal. Then it is Florian Alt. Alt does need to be careful though. He's got to fight a bit of a rearguard action because Vieja is still right up behind them. We're yet to see a move, are we, from Vieja so far in this race. There he is, the number 97 on the white and blue fairing bike there in the background. Thibaut still leading for the Superstock 600 runners, by the way. He's riding around in 6th position. Hasn't been a great start for Tony Finsterbush. He's a long way down the order in 19th place. And then it's Gonzalez completing the top 20. We've really got to concentrate on this battle towards the front of the race. Not just crucial for this race, but also for the championship, because Raffin needs Florian out to lose as many points as he possibly can. What will be going through Jesko Raffin's mind at the moment? He's actually closing in himself now. Raffin is closed in on Vitali, number 70, for that 7th place. He needs to close on him. It's going to be major, major drama for Raffin. He's got to try and pass Luca Vitali if he possibly can. This is the battle still raging at the front. It's Edgar Pons, then it's Odendaal. Florian Alt's in there as well, winner of the first race. Finally took that first victory, and now look at this. Is Vieja through? No, he's not. Well, that really is the first time he's showed what he can do, isn't it? Right in behind Florian Alt there. That was into the right-hander at turn 14. Very, very strong under brakes is Vieja into turn 14. We saw exactly the same situation this morning in the first race for Moto2, and he's doing it again. So over the brow of the hill, they cross the line for lap 7 of this race, and this is great stuff. Edgar Pons still in the lead. What's the gap this time? It's crept slightly up again. It was 9/10, it dropped down to 6, now it's 9/10 again. Odendaal still second, Florian Alt is third, and then Xavi Vieja in 4th place. I'm delighted to say, rejoining me in the commentary box is Barry Vedeman. Barry, it's been a great race for you, first of all, and your man in Moto3 with Bo Bensnader up there in 6th place. I bet he's pretty pleased, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very pleased, yeah. After yesterday was a great result, and that's what we needed, you know. We need to go into the winter stop with a good feeling about riding, and these sort of days help a lot. We still have Valencia to go. Valencia we tested a lot, so should be better there. And general feeling, yes, of course, very much satisfied.
Now then, you're the rider, Barry, I'm not. What's going through the mind of Raffin? He's now managed to get ahead of Vitali. In fact, Medina has passed him as well, so Vitali's lost 2 places down from 6th to 8th, but Raffin running around in 6th place. This isn't looking great at the moment because Florian Alt is closing right in the championship. What's Raffin got to do? He knows he hasn't got the pace, has he, to contend with these guys at the front of the race?
No, Jesko's short 1 second, and at the moment it's been short 1 second the whole weekend, so we're not going to find it in this race, which means he just has to make do with what he's got, and he's now in the same situation he was before, only Taché and Odendaal are still there, which could mean if Alt does the job correctly, he's going to make a big gap now.
Yeah, definitely. Alt, in the meantime, is having to defend at the same time here because
Alt has sort of a problem because now Taché is there and Odendaal is there, and they don't have the same title problems Alt has. They can go full every corner, and Taché does go full every corner.
And that's the thing, the likes of Xavi Vieja, who started on pole, now 4th. There's no championship situation to bear in mind, is it now? We know this is coming down to Raffin and Alt in Valencia in 2 weeks' time. And Florian Alt needs to bear that in mind. I think what Florian Alt's probably hoping for is that Odendaal catches Pons, which he's doing because it's come down to within 6/10 now, and then try to delay him. There is Jesko Raffin, championship leader. Great battle going on behind. That's Vitali versus Medina. Vitali trying to make up ground. I don't know whether he made a mistake on that last lap. But Raffin, this is serious pressure. They are, aren't they? I mean, look at them. They're right up with him. He's shown his 10th. He's actually higher than 10th now. He's number 10 and running in 6th position in this race. There's the progression. Started 8th, dropped to 9th, moved up a place when we lost Fugliini down at turn 5 earlier in the race. And there he is. He's really, really struggling.
Yeah,
look.
He is. And in the way he's working now, he's going to leave it up to Valencia.
Yep.
I don't think that's a very wise decision, to be honest.
I think he's trying not to do that, but there's not much you can do. It's a horrible situation. He was 1.2 seconds down in the qualifying session yesterday.
Yeah, well, but in the end, it's still a track. It's still tarmac with grass, and you have to stay off the grass and on the tarmac. So it's not like it's rocket science. Yeah?
I know, it's a real struggle though, isn't it? Look at Luca Vitali. He's looking so racy now. He's the number 70. You have to say, this is not looking great for Jesko Raffin. He's running around in 6th place, may find himself 7th or even 8th in a moment. There's the current championship situation because of these positions that Raffin's managed to gain. He was last shown in 8th place, wasn't he, when we saw the graphic? He's now 6th, so it'll be back up to 14 points. But bear in mind, he came into today with a 32-point cushion, and a lot of people expecting him to take the title in this very race. It's not what he planned. Now then, meantime, back at the front of the race, they've caught Edgar Pons. It's Odendaal right behind him, then Florian Alt, and then Xavi Vieja, who started on pole 4th place. And Odendaal just trying to make up for what happened this morning.
Revanche, yeah, of course. We don't know what the problem was, what do we?
Not exactly. I've been here in the commentary box all time since then. It looked like the suspension collapsed.
Yeah,
or
the link system. Yeah.
Well, there's certainly no such problems at the moment. Yeah, they've obviously got him back out there, and he obviously can't think about that now, can he? He's just got to push on, trust the equipment that's underneath him.
He's only thinking second chance.
Yeah. So over the bow of the hill they come. That's out of turn 4, down into 5, and look at Pons. It's snaking around under braking there, who's on the inside as well of Alt. Now Pons is wide. Pons is quite wide. Is this going to change? Yes, it is. Odendaal takes the lead on lap 9. Stephen Odendaal trying to make amends for the problem this morning that took him out of the lead of the race. And for the first time then in this race, Edgar Pons finds himself running behind the leader and in second. Now, can Florian Alt take advantage? This is where the championship could change. At the moment, it's provisionally 12 points behind, between Raffin and Alt. But if Alt can take second place and Raffin drops back 2, it's going to be pretty much level paying when we get to Valencia. Look at the air here as well, piling the pressure on Florian Alt. And once again, as we've seen across this race, Barry, the same as this morning, Vieja is so strong, isn't he, under braking for this right-hander that's coming up very soon indeed at turn 14. Forget turn 14, what about 13? He goes through, passes Florian Alt. Alt's just got to keep his head though now, hasn't he? There's no point panicking and throwing it down the road, because then that really would open up the championship for Raffin.
Still a long way to go, 9 laps to go.
Yeah, we're just at half race distance. Having said that, the lap times, they're so close, aren't they? Odendaal obviously now leading. Let's see what he can do now. He's punching away. Look, he is breaking away slightly. Pons a little bit wide over the curbs out of that final corner. This is side by side now. It's Vieja on your left. Alt is on the right, now on the left. As we get down to the right-hander at turn 1, very difficult downhill braking zone here. Florian Alt, who's riding for the championship if he can, he's through because Vieja makes a mistake, runs out wide. Well, at least he's making best use of the vast runoff areas here.
Yeah, but why? You know, when a rider creeps up on the inside and tries to outbrake you, why do you try to outbrake him late? You know, it's 9 laps to go. You know when you're on the outside, you're going to get pushed off track. So sometimes it's wiser to make do, let him go and get in the next corner again instead of keep fighting for that only spot.
How much of a factor do you think it is as well, Barry, that they're fighting at the front? They know the TV cameras are trained on them. They know the world is watching, as it were. I suppose that has an influence as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it normally does. I always had, when you can see the front runners or are in the front group and there's nobody in front of the first guy, you know, that feeling from, oh, hey, there's open space, I need to go there. That's the major feeling I always had. And probably these guys have the same.
Did you ever have that syndrome as well as your mind is almost into the next corner and then you can throw it down the road with a low side because you're sort of one corner ahead of yourself?
Yeah. It's been there, yeah.
Look at this then, down the dip. That's out of turn 11 into 12. Odendaal, I thought he was starting to break away, but I was wrong, quite frankly, because Pons is actually keeping up with him. And Alt looked like he was struggling slightly. Vieja obviously sailed off the track down at turn 1, as we saw. He's catching them. There he is, the Spaniard. But Alt at the same time is right up behind Axel Pons. What about the championship leader, Raffin? He's still there in that 6th position, but he's still battling really hard with Vitalia Medina. He's got to get these points. Jesko Raffin could easily find himself demoted to 8th in this race. We often see changes, don't we, on the final laps. We'll keep updating you with what's going on. Meantime, we're into lap 11 of 17, still 8 to go here. Odendaal leads, Pons is second. Here comes Florian Alt through on the inside now then. Let's see how they tackle this turn on this time. No such problems for Vieja, but the sort of laps they're putting in, they're practically matching each other. It was a 47.4 for the leader, 47.5 for second and third, 47.4 again. So Vieja there.
He's back, huh?
He's back. He's matching the leader's pace now. This could go either way, couldn't it? You have to say Stephen Odendaal probably deserving of the victory after what happened in this morning's race with that problem. But it doesn't work like that, does it? Oh, this is getting very tight into turn 5. Very tight. Look at Alt now. That's almost contact between Alt and Vieja. I think that was triggered actually by Pons, who ran slightly wide, didn't he, and cut back through. And this is what we keep stressing. This is what Barry's been saying. Alt has the championship to think about. He's only 20 points behind the leader, Jesko Raffin. Still a maximum 50 points left up for grabs. If Florian Alt can somehow punch through to the front of this race, he's going to put him in a fantastic position in terms of the championship as we head to Valencia. Odendaal now. Oh, and look at Vieja. Now that's a strange line, isn't it? He's practically on the white line this time.
I think
he's through.
We talked about the wind, eh? And I spoke with Bo just after the race, and he said, hey, I can do Craig Jones corner in 5th gear now. Normally we stayed in 4th, but because of the tailwind, you go up to 5th. So the speed up to corner 11 is much higher than it was, I think, yesterday or maybe this morning. So therefore, they end up on the inside there.
And look what's happened on this lap. Odendaal passed for the lead. Through goes Pons, retakes the lead, and Vierge has shot through from 4th in the group to 2nd in the race. He's passed Alt. He's passed Odendaal as well, who was very much hung out to dry. This is going to go down to the 17th and final lap without a shadow of a doubt, isn't it? What's Raffin doing? He's still running 6th. We will keep updating you at his critical times now in the Moto2 ranks. Now look at this. We're almost 4 abreast, certainly nearly 3 abreast there, down over the finish line. But Pons still with the advantage. Vierge is now attacking for the lead for the first time this afternoon. A much tighter line, and that's going to perhaps leave him exposed as they get to turn 3. Odendaal still 3rd. Then it's Florian Alt, who's 2nd in the championship and won the first race this morning. At least Alt knows that, doesn't he? He knows he had the speed to win this morning. Then again, conditions have changed. We know it's windier now. It's certainly a lot warmer out there as well.
And we're getting close to the final for the final round. It's getting closer towards where he has to get the championship. Every race now is becoming more pressure. So.
Yeah, less and less points each time. Still 50 points left up for grabs. Then it suddenly becomes 25 when you get to Valencia. Oh, and look at Pons. Just tell us, Barry, what's going through, what's happening there when you're seeing the rear wheel wobbling around like that?
No, but that's more sort of what you said just before, that you're already working on the next corner and things will happen and you're actually not there anymore because you're already with your mind focused to the next corner. So the wobbly things we see for the riders are maybe just only a little bit. Of course, you sometimes have like these maneuvers. They think, oh my God, lost it completely, and then I'm back on the saddle again. But many times you think, then they think, there's nothing much happening.
And we've seen a few of those moments, aren't we now? Certainly with the warmer temperatures here this afternoon. 20 past 2 local time, this is getting very tight now. Alt is the rider who's dropped back slightly this time. Florian Alt, 20 points behind Raffin for the championship lead, and Raffin has now lost a position. He's dropped behind Medina and dropped down to 7th position. That's only 9 points for 7th. And he's now coming into pressure, I can tell you, from Vitali. That's going on further back in the pack. There's 0.8 of a second between Vitali and Raffin. Meantime, back at the front of this race, Odendaal going side by side here with Vierge, who started on pole. Florian Alt still sitting in there in 4th place, and we often see this when there's a change of position in front of him. He suddenly emerges right up behind them and starts picking off riders one by one. This is allowing Pons to break out a very small gap of just 3.5 of a second. Backs his way into turn 3. This is the Lagos corner. Now we're watching Odendaal 2nd. Vierge, we hardly ever see passing through turn 4. That would be a pretty crazy place to attempt to pass, to be honest with you. Watch at the bottom of the screen. Raffin there, 7th place. Certainly not what we expected, but he just hasn't made it happen, has he? From the beginning of the weekend, Raffin's been off the pace.
Mistakes keep being made in turn 5, eh?
Yeah, that was Odendaal that time, wasn't it? Vierge going through this time. It's a strange one, isn't it, though? Are they finding slightly different levels of grip every time they come around, do you reckon? Or are they just pushing so hard?
I think it's just the bumps that the bike gets upset and they drop offline maybe 1 meter too much, or it's just turn 5 is just the biggest problem here in this track.
Going down, that is a problem then. One of the riders has been caught out.
Memola.
Dakota Mamola. Well, that's a shame because he qualified pretty strongly here. He was 9th on the grid. He was running 11th in this race, and Dakota Mamola retires from this penultimate round of the Moto2 season in the CEV in 2014. As I say, he was only 5 laps from the end. It's been quite a difficult season for Mamola. Then again, it's his first campaign. We shouldn't expect too much too soon. Obviously, he's got the pressure of the Mamola name behind him as well, son of Randy. And that never helps either, does it? Let's be honest. You know, for the likes of Remy Gardner and Randy Mamola. So Mamola out of this one. That does not affect the championship leader, though, because Raffin was in front of Mamola in this race. Mamola was running around on his own, actually, so it looks as though it's an unforced error, unfortunately. Pons leads by 0.5 seconds. 4 laps to go. Very much closing up in this battle for second place, and these now really are crucial moments in this championship for Florian Alt. He's at the back of this pack. There he is, the very, very bright number 66. Right up behind Odendaal and Vieja, but we're talking about, you know, a lot of championship points here. It's 25 for the win, 20 for second, 16 for third, 13 for fourth. So we're talking about a big chunk of 12 points difference between being at the front of this pack and being at the back of it. And Florian Alt knows that only too well. Now, are they going to make it stick through turn 5 this time? Well, yes, they are. You're never quite sure how they're going to come out of there, though, are you?
I was expecting Steve Odendaal again to go wide, but it's very, very strange. Well, maybe it's also the camera point, but you get it different there every time.
He's climbing back up the hill again now. This is turn 8. the crest of Bal Hill. Look at the front wheels lifting off the ground. It's spectacular through there. Odendaal from Alt. What's happening with Raffin? He's back ahead of Medina again. So Raffin is pushing so hard to maintain as many championship points as he can. Championship leader is back up into 6th position. But they've been caught because Medina's there, Vitali's there as well. Raffin could easily find himself finishing down in 8th place. Left-hand side of your screen, he could finish at the back of that group. Could Jesko Raffin. Only 8 points for 8th place. How is this championship going to pan out as we get to Valencia? We will have only 3 laps to go next time they cross the line. It's Pons from Vieja, Odendaal and Florian out here at the front of the race. 4.5 seconds then back to Alan Tescher. It'll be his first and only finish of the day after siding out at turn 3 in the first race this morning. Pons has looked very comfortable. You have to say he's looked very good, hasn't he, heading up this race so far?
Yeah, he's been at the front much more than in race 1. To be honest, I have to say the lap times are slower than they were in the first race.
Pons is pushing for a first win since the season opener in Jerez back in April, so it's been a long time. What's that? Good few months, 7 months or so since he last won a race, and this is getting very, very tight now. Back markers ahead of us as well. Now, we saw this situation this morning, didn't we, with back markers, and it did actually play into the hands of some. The like of Florian Alt here will know that as they come up to lap. AB and Santana there on the Yamaha. Oh, and look, it has affected things. Oh, and Pons, there's almost contact between Pons and Vieja, caught out there by the back marker. And Pons, who is leading the race, finds himself back in 4th place. That's exactly what I was saying. Vieja leads, Odendaal goes 2nd, Florian Alt goes 3rd. I would imagine Edgar Pons is furious after that one.
Yeah, you get a difficult corner, you put in a back marker and it's all over the place, yeah.
It changed the trajectory of the whole situation there, didn't it? So Xavi Vieja now, who started on pole, leads this race. Florian Alt still thinking this is still possible here. I could still win this one. Let's see. So Santana's on the outside. Look, he was just caught out, wasn't he, Pons? I don't think the back marking did anything wrong particularly there. Pons has to sit up. Vieja through, Odendaal through, Florian Alt through as well. That was major drama then for Edgar Pons. It might not be a second win of the season now. Now then, more back markers up in front of them. No, apologies, this is Raffin, isn't it? And he's dropped behind them. Let's see what happened. We know he's been battling. Look, 6th, 7th. He's going to find himself 8th. He's going to drop behind the other one as well as they make their way down the hill. That is bad, bad news for Jesko Raffin. Vitali and Medina both through. And the championship leader then finds himself back in 8th position. There he is. I don't know what can you hope for now. Can you hope for the other two to take themselves out of the race perhaps, because he's got to try and stay up with them, but it's been a major struggle. He's only on target here for 8 points in the championship, and what will Florian Alt do? How much damage can he inflict into the lead of Jesko Raffin, who's now coming through to start his penultimate lap of the race? Odendaal is now in the lead. He was a 10th behind Vieja as they started this penultimate lap. It's now Odendaal in the lead. Vieja going defensive into turn 4, and this is where the lead changed. It was down out of that final corner, down towards turn 1.
Whoa.
Oh. Very late cut there from Vieja, and now Alt is coming through, and this is great stuff for Alt in the championship. This is turn 5, and he is through. More back markers coming up. This race is by no means over yet. Can Florian Alt find himself winning this race and taking a sizable chunk out of the championship leader? Remember, Raffin is 20 points ahead of Alt heading into this final round, this penultimate round of the season. Raffin confirmed now as running in 8th place as they start the penultimate lap of the race. Now the back markers, we've seen drama already, haven't we, with a few lapped runners. Oh, it's going to get so tight. That's not a good place to look. Again, it's the same situation. This is up into turn 11. I suppose in fairness to the back markers, Barry, they don't always know, but they should know that the leaders are approaching, shouldn't they? The blue flags will be waving.
Yeah, but the funny thing with the blue flag is that the back markers never see them, and the faster riders always see them, so it's difficult to say. Also, this is a difficult corner. He doesn't know how fast they are coming, of course.
Yeah, that's true. Now then, in the meantime, Florian Alt. Now that was brave stuff. I wouldn't recommend coming through on the inside, Florian, of turn 15. We are coming through to start the final lap, and he's absolutely side by side with Odendaal. Now then, this is going to be the toe over the crest of the hill. It's a very, very long start-finish straight. They come out of that final corner. Yeah, what's Vieja in 3rd as well? He's going to try and take advantage, as will Edgar Pons, but he's dropped back. Who's going to lead this race? This is Florian Alt pushing for points. Well, yes, Raffin struggles back in the pack. Florian Alt does lead the race. He's on for the double at the moment then here in Portugal. What a dramatic end to our coverage as well this afternoon. Odendaal, don't forget, he was leading the first race. Dramatic technical problem this morning. Dropped out of the lead, and he's pushing now for victory. And Vieja, who started on pole, is still third. It looks as though Pons is out of the battle, isn't he? Pons has dropped too far back. He's just second behind these three now. There he is in the background.
Well, I'm impressed.
This is remarkable stuff. Florian,
he does what needs to be done, eh?
You can say that again. This is going to be major news in the championship. The standings, it's going to be so tight heading to Valencia. If Raffin finishes where he is now, which is 8th, he's 6/10 behind Medina. I think Raffin, unless something dramatic happens in front of him, he is going to finish this race 8th. At the same time, Florian Out's on for another 25 points. So many people saying today, oh, Raffin's going to wrap it up easily. That is not the case, because Florian Out is going to be, especially if he wins the race, right with him. Look at Odendaal now. He's going to lose that one, isn't he? Surely. Vieja's attacking. This is the right-hander of turn 11 down the hill. That's a difficult place to try and sweep around the outside of 12. But again, Stephen Odendaal. Now, how is this going to pan out? Florian Out. Oh, he has been tagged. I was just going to say Florian Out does not want to get tagged, and he's been taken out of the lead on the final lap of the race. I can't believe it. Xavi Vieja and Florian Out made contact. Alt did everything he needed to do, absolutely everything. And Edgar Pons then, who was 4th and was 1 second behind that group starting the lap, is now going head-to-head with Stephen Odendaal around turn 15 for the final time. Who is going to win this race? Traditionally, so far this weekend, there's been no changes before the line. And Edgar Pons wins for the 2nd time this season. First victory since Jerez at the start of the year. Odendaal 2nd. Coming through for 3rd place then, across the line he goes, is Alan Tescher, who benefited from all that drama on the final lap. And Jesko Raffin, would you believe it, comes through to finish ahead of Florian Alt and finish 6th. Barry, what can you say? What disappointment for Alt there.
Yeah, not deserved. You know, you're the coolest guy on track, and they take you out. It's racing, but he didn't deserve this.
No, that is unbelievable. Florian Alt.
He's not.
But he did cross the line. Or did he cross the line? No. His name is tumbling down the timing sheets. I thought he'd finished 9th, but that's just because everybody else. Florian Alt fails to finish. I can't believe it. He did everything right, absolutely everything. He sat there when he needed to. He was patient when he needed to be. Leading the race, taken out. Get a replay in a moment. Barry Veneman will talk us through what happened there, but would you believe it? Florian Alt then. Here we go then, Barry. Just tell it. There's Vieja on the inside.
Yeah. Just running in too deep. You know, in fact, it happened in the corner before where Steve Odendaal made a little mistake. Vieja wanted to pass him, couldn't pass him directly, and then the group came as a 3-way battle towards this corner, and there's just not enough room.
And now trying desperately to get it going. You'll see Raffin flowing through, and Edgar Pons. Congratulations to Edgar Pons. He didn't do anything wrong there. He stayed out of trouble. I was saying at the beginning of the last lap, he's going to need something dramatic to happen if he's going to win this one now. And my goodness, something dramatic did happen, didn't it? Edgar Pons wins for the 2nd time this season, came into the day 3rd in the championship. And Jesko Raffin, you have to say, he was very much let off the hook there. He's been absolutely sensational this season. He's won 5 races, but it's been a real struggle for Raffin here in Portugal. And there he is. He will not believe his luck. And that confirms him then as the FIM CEV Repsol champion for Moto2 in 2014. We were just waiting for the confirmation to see what it did with the points. You have to feel for Florian Alt. He didn't do anything wrong there. He was leading the race. And Jesko Raffin comes through. He'll be waiting actually to see whether he's won it or not. He won't know the exact situation. He'll be calculating it, won't he? In his mind, it was 20 points between them as they started this one. Obviously needed to be 25 or more going towards Valencia. And look, he's looking up at the screen, exactly the same situation as us. He's not quite yet sure. We now know. He's looking at the screen. He's saying, have I won it? He's saying. He's looking up at the big screens just to find out exactly what happened. There's Steve Odendaal, who finished this race 2nd. And look, well, that's a gracious gesture from Odendaal there, taking Florian Alt back round to the pit lane. Florian Alt as well, though, Barry, he won't know exactly what's happened, will he? He won't know where Raffin's finished, or he won't know whether it's been sewn up or not.
But this is dangerous. That bike broke down the first race.
We don't know on that situation again, do we? Although it actually seems to be all right, doesn't it, carrying 2 riders? So anyway,
it's been properly tested now.
Yeah.
But it's too bad for Florian.
Yeah, what a shame. Florian Alt. It just shows you how quickly things can change, doesn't it? In the twinkling of an eye, it can go from one direction to the other so quickly. I mean, all of a sudden there, it looked as though Alt was going to take the challenge to Raffin in Valencia in 2 weeks' time. All of a sudden, there's a contact, there's a collision, and Raffin does sew up the championship on an otherwise really difficult weekend for the Swiss rider. Alan Tescher then completes the podium. He was running 5th at the start of that final lap. Odendaal as well, by the way, did a very good job to stay in the race because he was contacted as well, finished 96 thousandths of a second behind Pons in the end. Here is your confirmation of the penultimate race of the season for Moto2 here. Pons leads the way, just edging out Odendaal by less than a tenth. Tesha up there on the podium. Vitaly and Medina do finish ahead of Raffin, but sixth position with Alt out of the race in cruel fashion gives Raffin the Moto2 title in the CEV for 2014. Vieja, who was involved in that controversial collision on the last lap, survives, comes home in 9th place. And very good stuff as well, you have to say, from Thibaut, the Frenchman. Bertin Thibaut finishing this race in 13th position overall to lead the Superstock 600 riders. And he's a good 5 positions ahead of Frassar, the next Superstock 600 competitor. So very good stuff, and certainly a hand on the title there as we head to Valencia in 2 weeks' time, if not confirmed already. Right then, Parc Fermé, Edgar Pons.
Edgar Pons, enhorabuena por tu victoria en una carrera absolutamente loca.
Sí, la carrera ha sido muy divertida. Hacía un poquito más de viento que la primera carrera y eso ha hecho que costara un poquito más. Pero bueno, ha sido todo el rato en grupo. Bueno, al principio me he podido escapar un poco, pero después he visto que no podía sacar la suficiente distancia como para irme, y para no desgastar los neumáticos, he dejado de tirar tanto para que me pillaran y poder meterme detrás de los demás. Pero después, cuando iba con ellos, la verdad es que me he encontrado bastantes doblados que les han sacado la bandera azul y no se han apartado. Eso me ha hecho que casi me voy al suelo en una curva y me han abierto un poco de hueco. Pero después, con el incidente que ha pasado entre Wiertz y Alt, he conseguido sacar provecho de ello y conseguir ganar la carrera.
Enhorabuena, disfrutarla.
Gracias.
Thanks, Tony. And Tony quite rightly saying there, an absolutely crazy race it was, wasn't it? And Edgar Pons said, I nearly ended up on the floor on a few occasions there. All came down to that contact between Vieja and Florian Alt, who were battling for the lead, just 3 corners away from the checkered flag at the end of the race. Let's just review the highlights then of a very, very dramatic 17 laps here. With lights out, away they went. That was Raffin, off 8th on the grid, and he knew this was going to be a very, very difficult challenge. As you saw there, he already moved to the inside of the track, down towards that first corner. So Pons breaking away at this point, and there's Raffin with the red helmet. We're struggling a long way back in the pack in 8th position. Back at the front, Pons extended the lead. This was trouble for Fugliini down into the left-hander at turn 5. That was good news, though, for Jesko Raffin, who gained some more World Championship points. Wasn't the only one to go at turn 5. We saw a lot of incidents there, didn't we, across the course of the race. That was Mikel Pons down. In the meantime, this was Edgar Pons, no relation, out the front of the race. Look how he was struggling to slow it down for turn 5. Odendaal, Alt, Vieja, they were all in there. Pons was out wide, but it was to be later on at the same corner, wasn't it, with a back marker where it all went really pear-shaped. But Odendaal was leading at this point. Once again wide coming out of turn 11, just as he was in the first race this morning. Now, this is where it all got really dramatic, because this was the back marker, AB and Santana. Watch the battle for the lead just behind him. Pons caught out there. Vieja, that was courageous stuff on the inside. Absolutely right, straight through, as were Odendaal and Alt. And Pons was caught out. That's what dropped the eventual winner, Pons, down to 4th place. And let's not forget, Pons led for most of this race, didn't he? So it certainly wasn't a fluke for Pons. Into the closing stages then, Vieja was attacking Odendaal for the victory. Florian Alt was looking very, very good at this point in the championship battle with Raffin, who had dropped down to 8th position in the pack. Through went Florian Alt at that point. Now then, Vieja and Alt, that was the moment of the race, and that was the moment that decided the Moto2 Championship for the FIM CEV Repsol in 2014. Edgar Pons through for his 2nd win of the season. Alt down and out. And Raffin, who's had a really struggling weekend, a really troubled weekend, finishes 6th to pick up the title. And he'll be off to the World Championship with the SAG, the stop-and-go team, next year.
Jesko Raffin, enhorabuena. En un fin de semana en el que parecía que lo tenías todo en contra, finalmente lo has conseguido. Campeón del FIM CEV Repsol de Moto2.
Sí, era un fin de semana muy difícil, no como los otros, hemos tenido algunos problemas y hemos trabajado mucho para la moto, pero era muy difícil, y hoy en el warm-up bien, tuve buen feeling, pero luego para la carrera, no sé, algo no ha ido bien porque me saltaba mucho y no pude inclinar la moto. El cuarto me quedé. Y para la segunda hemos cambiado otra vez unas cosas en la moto, pero no ha funcionado, pero he dicho, en las carreras puede pasar todo y ahora hemos visto que se tiene que pelear hasta la última vuelta porque la carrera termina cuando está bandera cuadrada. Y sí, ahora muy contento, aún no lo he realizado tanto que he ganado el campeonato. Y sí, creo que necesito primero una siesta y luego de fiestas. Y sí, muy contento. Gracias a todo el equipo, a mi familia, a mi padre, a mi tío, a mi madre, a todos, porque sin ellos eso tampoco funcionaría.
Es momento de disfrutarlo. Enhorabuena.
So that's the plan then for Jesko Raffin. First siesta and then fiesta. Sounds like a pretty good plan, doesn't it? For the Moto2 champion of the FIM CEV Repsol in 2014. A really difficult weekend, and he was saying actually there in the morning race he was struggling to get the bike leaned over and didn't have the confidence. Did finish fourth, then he said anything can happen, and it certainly did on that last lap of the second race there. So Raffin with a 30-point lead over Florian Out. You've got a feel for the German, and look what it does. Pons closes right in now for second in the championship after that victory today. What an eventful race that was. Pons only 5 points behind now then for second in the championship. And out onto the podium they go. Great stuff as well for Thibaut, the French rider in the Superstock 600 ranks. Did everything he needed to do here this afternoon. Although you have to say, Barry, I mean, it was a great season, wasn't it, for Raffin? He's not on the podium to win the title, but very much a deserved title.
Yeah, of course. We shouldn't hang it out on one race in Portimao where he didn't do well, because he did have a really good season. When you win 5 races, you have a good season. So the only thing is that many times when you want to prepare for next year, that a good winter feeling is quite important, because next year the level is going to be much higher, and you can't have races like this.
And that's very, very true. You can just see how quickly things can change. Trophy just been given out then. Alan Tescher third, Stephen Odendahl. Good to see he's on the podium after that problem this morning. And the second win of the season then for Edgar Pons, winning Jerez round 1, wins again here in the penultimate round here in the Algarve. Great stuff then for Edgar Pons. Second victory of the season. What a dramatic race that was. He did lead for most of the way, don't forget. Was caught out down at turn 5 with that back marker earlier on. Dropped down to 4th place. Then there was that contact on the final lap. He did everything right. He stayed out of trouble. Odendahl did a jolly good job actually to stay there in that second place. He could so easily have been wiped out of the race. And Tescher, decent pace, not brilliant pace, but decent pace across the distance. And you've got to be in it to win it, as they say. And he certainly did win his podium spot there to go 3rd in this one. There you go then. Pons, Odendahl, Tescher and Thibaut, the Frenchman, pretty much wrapping up the Superstock 600 honours for 2014. Dramatic stuff there. And poor old Florian Out. Well, you have to say, he lost a lot of ground early in the season when he lost a lot of points. There's been a charge of late, and it could have been a different story. Deserving champion, though, in Jesko Raffin. Here's your confirmation of the situation with just 1 round to go in Valencia in 2 weeks' time. Raffin, well, Alt could close in by to just 5 points, but it wouldn't be enough with only 25 available for victory there. Raffin from Alt, Edgar Pons, then it's Vieja and Odendahl. We could still see some changes. Obviously, Sebastian Porto no longer in the series. That's why he's dropping down the order. Now 7th then, with just 1 to go. So it's an absolutely hectic schedule here. 1 more Superbike race then coming up here. For Moto2, the title is decided. Jesko Raffin is the FIM CEV Repsol Moto2 champion of 2014. Dakota Momola fell a long way down the order, didn't he? 17th place after retiring. He was running around on his own about half race distance when it got away from him. And out of the race went Dakota Momola. Beating the top then, you can see there Russell Gomez is in the mix. And so Moto2 done and dusted for the day. One more Superbike encounter to go, and up on the podium quite rightly is the 2014 champion in Moto2. It is Switzerland's Jesko Raffin.